I believe that the future of Africa depends on what it does with agriculture. And in fact, the future, whether if you and I live very long to be 2050, and Africa is supposed to be feeding the world by that time,
Right.
because 65% of all the arable land, uncultivated, left in the world by 2050, to feed about 9 billion people will be from Africa. So what we do with agriculture in Africa today will determine the future of food in the world. And sometimes I take a look at agriculture the way we've looked at it in Africa. It's like, you're passing gold by,
Right.
and you think it's dirt, just because it looks like dirt.
Right.
Right. No, agriculture has a huge power. We're spending in Africa today $35 billion a year importing food. My goodness, I can't believe that. And if we do nothing, that will rise to $110 billion
Wow.
by 2030. Right. Now, if it's not a good business, why are we spending all that money importing this food? So I want agriculture to be a big business in Africa that can create a lot of jobs for our young people. I really want the young people to see agriculture as a mega business, and that's why at the bank we've launched a big program around that. We call it Enable Youth. It's basically to create a new generation of young commercial farmers, agribusinesses in Africa. I like to say, look, many years ago I worked in Rockefeller Foundation.
Yeah.
And we used to have a lot of interaction with folks at the Kellogg's Foundation. And one day I was asking my Kellogg Foundation guy, how did this foundation get created for Mr. Kellogg? So I went to read it. All he did was make money from Kellogg cornflakes.
Yeah.
Cornflakes is basically you take corn, you extrude it, you put some sugar on it, and there you go. No, and so agriculture is supposed to produce billionaires in Africa.
Yeah.
But it has to mean that we change our perspective on it. When I look at the money to be made in agriculture, the size of agriculture and agribusiness by 2030 in the African continent, it's going to be $1 trillion. And so you can imagine the amount of money you can make. But we need young people to have the skills, to have the funds that will support them to turn their ideas into great agribusinesses. And I think that's the way to go.